war is ended. You should have seen the parade in Rathir. As for what's next, well, that's a tough question. See, a lot of the soldiers asked me for readings after the fighting ended, and try as I might, I can't see a fate for any of us.
Because I stopped Tirnoch. So I'm not supposed to say that. But why? I don't understand the reasoning. Why did defeating... What was the relation between Tirnoch and fate itself? Alright, good. Now we're all free.
Good? Perhaps. Freedom is a blessing. And a curse. If fate truly no longer holds sway over us, only time will tell if it is for good or ill. But regardless of what happens, Amalur and its people remain because of you. And no matter where your path leads, never forget, a person is defined by his actions. Who you are is up to you, and you alone. Go, my friend. Enjoy this world and all of its splendors. You've earned it.
Good morning, sir.
So where are we right now? Let me step outside. I want to see where I'm at. Okay. Alright, so main quest is done. Delicate secret. Visit Arden's hut. I found a message, seemingly from Aelin Shear. I don't know how it got in my pocket. Okay, hold on. Is this like a post-credit thing? Let me go see what this is, chat. Does that have multiple endings? No, I think this game just has one ending. There are some quests with multiple choices. There are a few, like, choices matter moments, but the main quest line doesn't seem to be one of those. Crumpled note from Aelin Shear. Do you remember that this is where we first met, in this humble hut? I must admit the circumstances were not the best. I think you were suspecting me of murder, and I had to vanish fast, though I do love that smokescreen trick of mine. But anyway, there's no time to daydream about the good old days. Those are the good old days? Dahlia, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Appreciate you, welcome. There are more pressing issues at hand right now. You know, it seems the leader of the White Palm is after some of my assets for some reason. Assets. Do you remember these lowlifes? You fought them in Edessa when you were hunting Octien. Of course they are no match for me. That goes without saying. I made sure they will never find me, but I'm hesitant to admit it seems I forgot one. Just one very delicate piece I surely do not want them to get their filthy paws on. And you are the only one I am really willing to ask for aid for a plethora of reasons. So please, could you go to Melson Shear and sneak into my small hideout there to help me out? And my fateless friend, make sure that these White Palm blockheads don't follow you. Yours, AS. So she just left this note here with way too much information about our secret order, even though she was so ready to kill me if I spilled the secret of the secret order. Mixed feelings about how good she is at her job. Maybe Tirnoch was also bound by fate, and now the first time ever they didn't lose a Kitsune in the world. Yeah, okay, so, you know what, I kind of like that. Alright, so if we're saying... Let me tap out for a sec. So if we're saying, it's not that Tirnoch controlled fate, but it's just that Tirnoch was fated to destroy the world, and we stopped that, then everyone that was scheduled to die that day is still alive, and they don't have a fate that is like, you know, holding them down beyond that point. It's kind of like what happened with the Fate Weaver guy we were just talking to. When we met him, he was about to be at the point of his death, and we stopped it, and he became free of that. Maybe it's like, yeah, I kind of like that. That might be okay. What is this? Hidden cave. That is not the spell I'm at the fire. Short letter. It seems you found my little hideout here in Melson Shear. It was just a handy location to keep an eye on the war front and the moves of the Tuatha, along with the dastardly Gadflow. You surely pulled a stunt back then on the walls when you killed that monstrosity Baylor. That deeply impressed me, I have to admit. Unfortunately, it seems the White Palm are quite intent on finding me, so I had to scatter around a few more false trails to get rid of them, and that means you have to go scavenger hunting a little bit longer. Do you remember the Court of Summer in Issa, where we met High King Tatarion? You definitely belong to the few who have explored the vast majority of the Great Face City. Even there you left your mark. ... Thank you, ass. It's like a scavenger hunt. I don't know if this is part of the base game or if this is what leads to the final DLC. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the last DLC. I was just trying to wrap up the base game, and I'm not sure if this is part of that. Here. Muck Ding level up. Yeah. Yeah, I saw it. I just haven't bothered with it. I mean, this is like out in the open. You're telling me like no one's found this? The best place to hide a secret message is in rather unexpected places, wouldn't you agree? It appears that the henchmen of the White Palm are still after that special piece of mine, which I want to see in your hands only. I am actually surprised how stubborn they are. It seems there's no way to avoid this. Take the Shadow Walk to Danistar. You'll find my hideout there. From there, I was watching you while you worked as Ventrinio's assistant on that damn Well of Souls. This really brings back mixed feelings. Anyway, look for a well and descend into the cave. In case any White Palm assassins beat you to it, rid yourself of them. I know you're not. I know you're up for the task. It seems they do not know when to stop for their own good. Take care. I'm counting on you, AS. Okay, I don't know how long this is going to go. Hang on just a second. Let's see. Kingdoms of Amalur DLCs. What is the last DLC? There was apparently a DLC for this game where if you played a Mass Effect 3 demo, you got a special Mass Effect weapon in this game. I'm trying to find it. Okay, so there's The Legend of Dead Kel. We did that one. Teeth of Naros. We did that. And Fatesworn. Okay, Fatesworn is the... Let's see. New quest, new location, new armor, new gameplay mechanics of Fate. Also raises level cap from 40 to 50. Yeah, I'm already level 50. And the DLC features a new soundtrack. New main quest. Unsettling news. I noticed a mysterious letter in my belongings. And meet me near the Hall of the Forsworn in Minotaur. When you get a letter that says go to the Hall of the Forsworn. What's the name of my current quest? Let's see. Quests. It does say, a delicate secret. Alright. Kingdoms of Amalur, a delicate secret. Let's see. Many fantastic tales have been spun about the secretive Docklefar agent named Ellen Shear. Now it's up to you to unravel one of them. Follow a series of clues and travel to a number of hidden locations across Amalur to procure a very delicate item left behind by the infamous assassin herself. Be warned, you are not the only one who wants to get their hands on this important and very personal piece. Revisit pivotal locations all across Amalur and explore secret hideouts. Uncover lore of your former self and your special relation with Alan Shear. Embark on a scavenger hunt that pits you against the lowest of the low. Live now on PC. Okay, so this wasn't like a DLC, but this was like a patched-in quest way later on. Part of the base game. How do you start it? You defeat the final boss. What is the reward? It's an armor. Is an armor and a dagger. It was in an Alan Shear patch. Okay. The Fatestorm starting quest is called Unsettling News. Right. All right. So this is like just an extra quest line. It's not related to the MSQ. It's just it starts after the MSQ. Vice versa, you also get a Chakram launcher for Mass Effect 3. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. All right. Well, chat, I am feeling done. I am feeling satisfied on the game. I think I'd like to go into review time. So, for those that don't know, we just wrapped up Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning. Now, Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning was all of this down here, not including this up here, this square, and this up down here, this square. This up here was the Dead Kel DLC, and this down here was the Teeth of Naros DLC, and there's another DLC we haven't done that I think I'm not going to do. Let's talk about the game itself. First off, gameplay, just basic gameplay. You know, you pick your character. If you are, how you want your character to look. There's a few different race options. And then you dive in. That's basically it. Once you're into the game, you choose abilities each time you level up. You've got 3 talent trees here. Finesse, which is mostly about stealth or daggers, archery, poisons, things like that. Might, which is about strength and blocking. There is a block mechanic in the game, but it's more like a parry. Like, you can't hold the shield up. It raises it for a second. And so I didn't use it much because there's also a dodge, and I found the dodge more reliable. So if you want to use the block more, the strength line helps more with that. And then, of course, sorcery, which is mostly what I did. As you put points in it, as you put points going up the tree, this right here is just a total of how many points you've spent. So you can use those to unlock destinies. So, for example, having 109 points in sorcery gives you the Archmage Destiny, which is just a lot of really powerful stuff, like 50% more elemental damage, things like that. But there's also combination ones, like Finesse/Sorcery Hybrid. You can become a Shadowcaster and get these bonuses. Or Might and Finesse Hybrid. You can become a Blade Master and get these bonuses. Or getting all 3 pretty high makes you a Universalist, which is a whole different style of gameplay, and you're pretty good at everything. But not, excelling at any one thing. Like, you can't be a Universalist and also drop meteors. There's not enough points for that. There's additionally a lot of weapon freedom. So I was using chakrams there at the end, but there's nothing that would have stopped me from using other things. There's a sword, there's a giant hammer. As long as you meet the stat requirements for the items, you can use them. And some of them don't have any stat requirements. Like this hammer just requires level 16. It doesn't require a certain level of might or anything. So for a good chunk of the game, I was like a wizard with a giant hammer, and I was using it to just stun lock foes anytime I was out of mana. And there are some weapons that require mana, like the scepters, but the others you can just kind of use, as much as you wish. So I would basically use mana on spells and then use the weapons outside of that. So the freedom of the builds in the game are very high, and I think they did a really good job there. Because you could go all in on sorcery or finesse or might, or be a finesse sorcery hybrid, or a finesse might hybrid, or a sorcery might hybrid, or a hybrid of all 3, or anywhere in between. You see, I was mostly in sorcery with a few points in finesse, and that's basically it. And what? No, hold on. Close out of this. I was trying to see what level I am. Oh, I'm 38. I thought I was 50. I'm 38. You can see it down here by Mimuck in the corner. 2 things. The interface looks like Nintendo 64 games, so having your transmog reminded me, wow, loving nothing match. Yeah, there's no transmog in the game. You can't mess with that. It is what it is. Although your hat does not show up in cutscenes. I will say inventory management is definitely it's okay, but it's not an excellent part of the game. So when you loot stuff, you will often be adding things to junk, and that moves them down here. and then later you can go to merchants and you can hit sell all junk, or you can go up to blacksmithing stations and start salvaging the junk. And there is no salvage all button, so you have to go like, you know, click, yes, I'm sure. Click, yes, I'm sure. Click, yes, I'm sure. Bing, 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 2 clicks per item, and just blast through all of that. So it's not terrible. You have a level of organization with the junk folder and stuff like that, but it does not allow you to just do like salvage all. It also does not clearly show which items here. Okay, anything on this list that is a quest item does not count toward your inventory limit. It doesn't say which ones are quest items. So this has an add to junk button. I think this is not a quest item. The amphora, I'm pretty sure, is an old quest item that it never took away from me, and I think is not counting toward my inventory limit. So it's very unclear. Like, look how many things are here. I don't know how many of these are counting against me. I would have to right click on every single thing in here and see which of these have an add to junk to see if it's possibly adding to my inventory limit. So that could be better. Not that they're ever going to patch this. The game is old, but you know, just thinking out loud here. So the inventory management is okay. The combat feels really good. It's not like crazy, but like everything you do, you kind of lock yourself in an animation. So like if I dodge and I start casting, I can't hit dodge again until that's over. So a small similarity to Souls-like games that like when you start doing an action, like a dodge or an attack, like you commit to that action. But outside of that, like it's quite fluid. It feels very good to play. I was very happy with that. There was a few nuances, like for example, when you summon this guy, he has a timed duration and a max health. And if either of those hit 0, he dies. I have no way of monitoring that. It does not show anywhere on the screen how much time he has left or how much life he has left, and it doesn't even tell me if he dies. If he dies off screen, it doesn't even let me know. That's odd, because if I, for example, use like with this potion, you could see at the top right, it shows it, and then over on the right-hand side of the screen, there's an icon for that potion, and it shows it ticking down. They have an interface that allows you to see the duration of something remaining, but they don't use it for the spells. They just use it for consumables. So, would have liked to have seen them have that. There was definitely some moments of frustration. Also, the AI on this guy is terrible. Among games, like, if you're asking me, like, what game has the best summoner AI? Like, this is really low on the list. There was many fights where he would just stand there the whole time and do nothing. He would just do absolutely nothing. So, that could have been much better. However, when he was fighting, he did do a lot of damage. But for example, in the final boss fight, we kept moving to different platforms. There was 4 platforms, and every time we moved, he would get stuck. And I would need to unsummon him, and then resummon him, which I did not have time to do that animation twice fighting the dragon. I did not have time for that. How was the difficulty? So we played on max difficulty, kind of just messing around, and early game it was really dangerous. Mid-game, I did some crafting, and I made armor. Look at this. 20% more health, 160 health. 160 health. 53% more health, and 80 health. I made these bits of armor that more than doubled my maximum health. It was a massive increase to that, and I did not really have much trouble with the survivability most of the time outside of that. As far as how was the difficulty in terms of the enemies that were resistant to everything, like Prismere Trolls, were annoying, but things like the final boss, if I used the Fate move, which slowed down time and made me do more damage, and then I drank one of these, like, 20% damage buff potions and dropped a meteor, it was 25% of the final boss's life. So the final boss was basically 4 meters. So I would say even on max difficulty setting, once you've crafted some really good gear, it gets really easy. And crafting is going to get you better gear than most of what you'll find in the game. Because like I said, you know, like these boots, 53% more health is absolutely bonkers. Now I am using this robe that doesn't have any survivability on it, just because it has +1 to all sorcery skills. But I also had a weapon as well. This scepter has +1 to sorcery abilities. So I was getting a lot of just passive bonuses from those. But we'll avoid the anti-fun of crafting then. Yeah, crafting can make you some god mode gear if you max out blacksmithing. Let's see. What is it under? Hold on. Right here, it's this screen. So if you max out blacksmithing, you can make master crafted equipment, which is bonkers stuff. Basically, after you get that, just when you get loot, just salvage tons of it to get the components, and then you can make some really crazy things. A few things I learned during the playthrough. Alchemy. I didn't really have to make potions, but there were certain types of potions that every time I found them, I would save them. Like that increase your magic damage for 5 seconds, drink that before dropping a meteor, you know? Or the health regen potions, stuff like that. I made my own potions almost never. Detect Hidden, I feel like this is mandatory early game. It gives you, it marks all traps and containers on the minimap. Dispelling rank 4 gets rid of the bombs on treasure chests. Very important. Lockpicking, honestly, you could do the whole game with lockpicking skill 0 or 1, as long as you bought tons of lockpicks from the merchants. Mercantile, I never used it. I never felt like I needed it. I felt like I had infinite money without even this. Persuasion was just for fun. I liked being able to see more dialogue stuff. Sagecraft, again, was a form of crafting that you can use. Not required, but it's there. And then Stealth. Stealth is also in the game. You can crouch and try to sneak up on stuff. If you sneak up on an enemy with a dagger or a Feyblade, you can one-shot kill most humans. But on something big like a troll, it barely scratches them. So we talked about inventory, we talked about abilities and building your character. Let's talk about story. At the beginning of the story, I honestly think the beginning is a real big selling point. You've basically got a war between humans and Fey. And it's not just humans, but let's say mortals. Let's say mortals and Fey are at war. And the Fey, when they die, they go to this magical realm and they reform and come back over time. So eventually they wear you down because none of the Fey stay dead and the humans, you know, get picked off and you know, they lose forces over time. So, you know, because of that, the mortals, led by a gnome in this case, tried to make a device called the Well of Souls, which would bring back dead mortals so that they could keep fighting. Because otherwise, we were going to lose a war of attrition. And the Well of Souls was trying to bring back people, but all it kept bringing back was like empty, lifeless bodies. So the gnomes were just dumping them into this huge, grotesque body pile. And they bring you back, and they think it's another failed experiment. So you design your character, and the first time you see your character, you're dead on a slab. And they carry you off and dump you down a chute, and you land on this huge body pile. And you wake up covered in corpses. And it's just like this horrific moment, and you crawl out of the pile, and you're just like flies everywhere, and you're just like trying not to throw up. And that's how you start the game. And I was like, yo, this is heavy, right? That was the beginning of the game. Then, let's say in the next 30 minutes, you meet the Fate guy that would have the cards. I don't even remember his name. And he explains to you about fate, and he does readings and stuff like that. And he can't find a fate on you, which is unusual for this world. Now, people can just never get their fate read and live in ignorance. But in this world, everyone's fates are already locked in. Like, you will die in 3.5 years when you get hit by a truck. Doesn't matter what you do to try to avoid it, it's happening. You know? And so some people will get their fate read just because they think it's a fun thing, and then they just like spiral into depression. You know, like, do I tell my wife and child I die in a year? Do I not tell them? You know, things like that. So it was really cool. However, because you died and came back, you are free from fate. Your fate was to die. You already did. It's already been fulfilled. You're back now. There's not another fate for you. So you are able to go against, like, if there's like, for, you know, an ancient tomb that no one is fated to ever discover, you can discover it. You can get past the traps. You can get the artifact at the end that mortals weren't meant to have, and it might shift the course of the war. Things like that. Additionally, if you kill someone, all of their descendants that were fated to be don't. If you save someone, suddenly a whole new line of descendants may happen as a result of that, because that's not how fate was. And this is all explained to you when you save the fake guy, and he's like, I was supposed to die here, what the hell? He doesn't understand how you can be free of this, and because of that, you are the only person who has a chance against the final boss, who is fated to end the world. Essentially, Tirnoch is fated to destroy everything, and you have a chance against them because you don't have a fate, and everyone else has a fate to lose. So I found that really interesting. However, the 90% of the story I experienced between the first hour and the last hour, I couldn't really tell you what was going on. And that could absolutely be a failing on my part. But I was just essentially go to quest, find what they want, go do the thing, turn it in. And I just kept doing that. And honestly, it was therapeutic. I didn't mind it. However, the actual story involved in a lot of these things, like the actual story that occurred in a lot of these places, I couldn't tell you. Up here, I know there was an undead pirate, and there was like a major force that was like controlling this area, and some people are stranded there, and they just live like brainwashed lives. And over here, there's Colossi, and there was a bad Colossi, and he almost screwed over the other Colossi, and we took him out. Webwood, there was a bunch of spiders. Ettenmere, there was Ettins. I don't remember. Gendara, I don't remember. Lorcaran, I don't remember. The Wolds, I don't remember. Forsaken Plain, I don't remember. Cradle of Summer was like that you talk to a big tree. Talarain, I don't remember. Kandra, I don't remember. Like, it is shocking how many of these locations I don't really remember, but they're marked on the map, which means I was just there within the last week. So, yeah, I feel like the storytelling, like, the same plot points could have still been there. But in my opinion, the storytelling could have been delivered in a more interesting way. On that note, the cutscenes were great when they happened, except for the audio. For some reason, the audio would be blasting every time we saw a cutscene. That was unfortunate. So that was like a little glitch in the game. In terms of bugs, I think that might be one of the only ones we had. Saving system, the game has an autosave. You really need to be in the habit of using it constantly. It doesn't autosave, sorry, it has a quick save. It doesn't autosave very much. So if you are running around and you die, you might have to replay like 15-20 minutes if you haven't tapped the quick save recently. So it's very much a habit that you learn to build early on, because it gets it's really bad after that's happened to you a few times. I think that's it. Overall, I really, really enjoyed this game. I had a lot of fun. The story, I barely remember it, even though we just played it, other than the beginning and the end. And I honestly, I think if I told people about the beginning of it and then about how fun the action is, that can hook a lot of people into this. But the story in between those, it's not sticking with me. It's not sticking with me. It just, there wasn't... It felt like there wasn't a lot of substance there. Like, maybe I needed to do the optional conversations with more people or something like that. But in terms of what you got just on the MSQ, I was often confused. Like, when we were approaching the bad guy's final fort, when we were approaching the fortress, I didn't know the name of who we were going to fight. I knew it was the Tuatha. I knew the Tuatha were the bad guys, but I didn't know who their leader was. I'm like, oh, it's Gadflow. Oh, he's trying to summon Tirnoch. Oh, Gadflow's dead. Oh, hi, Tirnoch. Okay, fight Tirnoch. Okay, Tirnoch's dead. And that was, that was the end of it. But yeah, overall, it was a lot of fun. Absolutely worth the $10 I spent on it. I think I'm gonna end it here, both from a combination of just, I feel very fulfilled about the gameplay at the moment, and also just due to the audience's interest in this particular title. I think it's time that we just, put a pin in this and save it here in case we ever change our mind, and move on to something new.